Hi everyone, Melissa here. I'm really excited for this week's video of an awesome client success story. And before I get into it, just a reminder, we're still giving away the free course, How to Find Your Blocks to Manifest Anything Fast. The link will be in the description of this video. Also, I have a 25% off sale going on now on coaching and courses. So if you've been wanting to get some coaching or looking for some self-study options, I have some awesome courses, affirmation bundles, etc. Everything's on sale now through the end of the month. So the info for that will also be in the description of this video. Okay, let's get into this success story. It is so awesome. Okay, so I've been working with this client for about a month now. And one of the things that she has been wanting to manifest is better health. And specifically for the past 12 years, she has had some issues with digestion. It started off with just a few different foods, giving her a little bit of a reaction, and it manifested into many foods, causing swelling and discomfort and rashes sometimes. And she really was on a very restrictive diet. And that was not enjoyable for her, number one, because she really loves food. And number two, it made it really hard for her to be able to be out in social settings. She would have to eat before she would leave her house, or just, at family functions, you'd have to make sure there were options for her. And it was a burden, and it was no fun. So she really wanted to change that. So she started telling her, so the story she had going on currently was, I can't eat all these different foods. Every time I eat any of these foods, it makes my body react like crazy in a bad way. So she had to start breaking down that story. She had to start breaking down those beliefs. And we really didn't dig too much into where those beliefs came from. But really, what's important is noticing it so you can change it, right? So this was not a story that was benefiting her. It was a story she was believing in that was really opposite of what she wanted. So she started telling herself a new story. She would go for walks and do her affirmations, or if she was driving in the car, just thinking about things, she would start affirming her new story, which was, I have perfect digestion. I can eat any food I want. Anything I eat is nourishing and healthy for my body. My body loves and accepts everything I eat. And another part of this was she was also trying to lose some weight. So she had another affirmation or two that was, I have a really healthy metabolism, and my body can release weight easily and effortlessly. So she started changing her story there. And I want to preface all of this with, if you are dealing with a medical condition, chronic or acute, always get care in the 3D. If you need medicine, if you need to see a doctor, do that. Don't ignore it, because what you resist persists, right? You want to get the treatment you need in the 3D. It's then from there you work on your story, okay? And it will manifest in the most amazing, beautiful ways. But you still, you don't ignore whatever problem is in front of you medically, okay? Because doctors and medicines are manifestations too. So always get treatment if you need it. Okay, so she wasn't ignoring any medical treatment. She was just noticing the story she was telling herself, looking at the circumstances as they were presenting themselves, and changing her story about them, changing what she was telling herself was true about her body, about her health, about the food she could eat, okay? So she really started working on that new story any chance she got. Anytime she was thinking about consciously manifesting something, thinking about consciously creating, and especially anytime she was thinking about her current perceived problems with food. So at meal times, and she had tried to kick this chronic condition in the past, and she would start telling a new story for a little bit, try a new food, still get the reaction, and then it just was that same cycle. So her body was still reacting to those foods, even though she had started telling a different story. But she really got serious this time and focused, and would not allow for the contrary opposing thoughts to run rampant in her mind. I mean, that's a really big piece to all of this is, once you decide on your new story, that's what's true no matter what in your mind. You know, you block out anything that contradicts what you desire to be true in your mind. You know, that's wavering is where you can delay your manifestations. Wavering is where you can see hot and cold manifestations. So really having conviction and persistence in your new story is so important. So she really started buckling down on that story and not letting any contrary thoughts in. And she about a month or so into it, she just decided to start trying some new foods that she hadn't had in a while. And she tried them once and she noticed, oh my gosh, I'm not getting any reactions. This is amazing. And then she tried some more foods that she hadn't had in a while and still no reactions. And now it's been weeks and weeks and she can eat everything she was not able to eat before, she can now eat. And this is a chronic condition she had for 12 years. 12 years she lived restricted and feeling like she couldn't eat anything and really miserable with it. And her body felt awful when she would try to eat certain things. So this was a persistent story in her life, but she was able to reverse that. She was able to persist through perceived current unwanted circumstances in her new story, and the chronic condition is completely gone. She can eat anything she wants now. Her body loves it. Her body thrives on it. And the icing on the cake, she's lost weight. And every day somebody new tells her, oh my gosh, you look great. You look like you've lost some weight. So all it took was committing to a new story. And she stopped identifying with the version of her that couldn't eat anything, that whose body was inflamed with food when she consumed certain foods, who didn't feel good in her own skin, who felt overweight, who looked overweight, at least in her eyes, right? So it's about identifying who you're being, identifying what story you're telling yourself about whatever it is that's bothering you, changing it and committing to it. And like I said, she didn't ignore the 3D. She just looked at it, noticed it, didn't accept it as her truth anymore. That's where the sweet spot is. Noticing it, rejecting it, deciding a new truth. And it gets easier as you practice. And the more you repeat those affirmations, the easier they're going to feel when you say them. And you don't have to believe when you start telling that new story. She didn't necessarily believe it, but it manifested anyways because she stuck to it, because she persisted in it, because she rejected the old story every time it came in her mind. You know, those unwanted thoughts, those unwanted thought patterns, they can be pesky and annoying and persistent on their own. And you have to overpower them with your wanted story. Sometimes it can feel like a battle in your mind. I know for me, it has. Me against me. But those are the times when I know I need to persist the most, when it feels the hardest. You know, I always ask myself, how bad do I want this? If I want it bad enough, I'm going to change my story. If I want it bad enough, I'm going to notice current circumstances. Even if I react to them, it doesn't matter. It's what I do after the reaction. How am I going to keep perceiving this after that reaction? Because when you revisit stories you don't prefer, when you keep telling yourself, reminding yourself of things you don't like, it's not that you're remembering the past, it's that you're reliving it in your present moment constantly. Because there is no past, there is no future, there's only ever now. So every time you think, I hate this thing that's happening and it's still happening, you're recreating it, you're keeping that narrative alive in your now, That's why changing your story is so powerful, because you're changing it in your now, which changes your circumstances. And your only job is hold that assumption long enough to allow for that new story to become visible to you, for long enough for you to start perceiving that new story in your 3D. So I just want to say I'm so happy for this client, because this was something she struggled with for so long, and it really didn't take that long for her to change it. And it doesn't have to take a month for you to change whatever you're trying to change. Everybody's timeline totally dependent on how fast you can accept the new truth? How fast can you convince yourself of the naturalness of your new story? That's it. So it can be a day, it can be same day, it can be an hour, it can be 2 hours, it can be a month, it can be whatever. But it's everybody's got their own timeline. Some stories are going to be easier for you to believe as true than others. And like I said, you don't even have to really believe it. You just have to start telling yourself it and not allowing the other story to be true. Not allowing your unwanted story to be true, because neither one is true. You know, they're both equal. They both are meaningless until you, the perceiver in your world, look at each story and say, do I believe this? Yes. Do I believe this? No. Do I think this is good? Yes. Do I think this is bad? Yes. You know, you're constantly making the judgment. So when you change your perception, your world out here has to change, because your world out here is reflective of your world in here. So to this client, I'm so happy for you. And I just can't wait for more amazing successes. This is going to be your best year yet. And to everyone watching, the same is true for you. All you have to do is start telling a new story and allowing it to be true for you, and rejecting whatever unwanted junky thoughts are making you feel bad, or making you feel like you can't or don't have what you want. That's it. That's your only job. Just start telling a new story. Okay. Let the new story win. Allow yourself the gift of a new story, because that gives you a new experience in your reality. You're so powerful. That's how powerful your thoughts are. As much as you believe in an unwanted story right now, you can just as easily start believing and thinking and accepting a new wanted story. So think about that. I mean, if you're ever doubting your power, always go back to I am, because I am is the one constant truth in all of this. I mean, you always are, because you exist. So therefore you are. You be. You are a being. You exist. You are awareness. You are consciousness. So go back to your I am place. Take your power back. Don't let thoughts have power over you, because they don't. Nothing has power over you. That's my favorite affirmation. Anytime I'm trying to manifest anything and an unwanted story comes up, my go-to affirmation is, that thing has no power over me. That person has no power over me. That circumstance has no power over me. That doubt has no power over me. That fear has no power over me. That unwanted thought has no power over me. That crappy story has no power over me. That thing that I feel bad about has no power over me. That thing in the past that made me feel bad has no power over me. You name it. I mean, it applies to anything. But when you take the power away from the thing that's limiting you, from the thought that's limiting you, from the circumstance that's making you feel bad, from the conversation that with somebody that made you feel bad, from something somebody did that made you feel bad, when you take the power away from that, it's just a thing, and it doesn't bother you. And then it's so much easier to start identifying with and telling yourself a new truth. So try it out. Try out the affirmation, whatever it is that's bothering you, that has no more power over me. Maybe I thought it was true before, but it's not true now. And then insert your new story, and you stick to that new story no matter what circumstances are showing up, and your physical world must conform, because it's only projecting your outer world is only projecting your inner world. All right. I think that's my pep talk for the week. And to this client, again, awesome job. I'm so happy for you. Keep it up. And everybody struggling with anything, you can do it too. You can do it too. Okay. All right. I think that's it for this video. I intend you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one.